What up, guys? Another episode of Off the Post. You don't pay attention to what just happened there. DJ Red Cap, and we're gonna jump into the whole big finale. It was the greatest game ever yesterday, or was it not? We will see what the panelists think. As it was USA versus Canada, the two teams that everyone, well, the one team that everyone all loves, and the team that everyone hates, or some people hate the specific players on there. We'll see who that player is. And I'm telling you, it's not Sinclair, because a lot of Americans seem to love her. So we'll see about that and what the panelists had to say about that. As usual, I will jump in and see what each panelist has been doing. I guarantee three of them are going to say working. Oh, wait, we only have three panelists. So let's start with box number one. Danielle, what have you been doing lately?
Not too much since Friday. After traveling in Frisco all that time, I just took a weekend to watch soccer and relax, which was fun.
Sounds like a fun time. And don't you have some great news of somewhere you're going on the 4th?
Yeah, so yesterday I heard that they were honoring Becky in Nashville, so then 5 minutes later I bought tickets and I'm going to Nashville. I guess I'm a stan. That's who I am. I've accepted that about me.
Very good, very good. Jake, what have you been up to since the last time we've seen you?
Actually, I had a baby shower over the weekend.
Okay.
So I've been assembling a pack and play and a stroller and organizing clothes. My wife's upstairs organizing the nursery right now. But I also wanted to say nice to be on the show with Danielle and Jen for the first time. So that's also exciting.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, it's always fun with these two. They're a good time, so you'll enjoy yourself. And did you get the baby? Did the baby get a soccer ball at least?
No, I did get her a Portland Thorns onesie though. So.
Okay. I can deal with that. Don't worry, I'll mail one down there. We got to get the ball since we're not in the crib with her and stuff. And how are you doing, Miss Jen Hayes?
I'm doing fabulous. Got the day off tomorrow, so just chilling, looking forward to that.
Very good, very good. I think we all deserve a day off a little bit. If you want to say anything to us, use the hashtag WoSoTalk. If you don't want to say anything to me, give me a big blue thumb, and I will tell you how that makes me so angry. We'll talk about that. Stop that. You stop that now. All right, let's jump into the game and talk about all our expectations and stuff as we usually do. We're going to start with you first, Jen Hayes. What were your expectations going into this rivalry game?
I was expecting pretty much what we got, minus I was expecting a little bit more scoring. I was expecting Canada to come out and try to beat our players half to death, which they nearly did on one or two occasions. So, yeah, I kind of expected what we got, pretty much.
Let's go with you, Jake. What were your expectations going into the game?
I actually was anticipating a lineup similar to the opening game versus Costa Rica. I thought that was our first choice lineup when everyone was fit and healthy. Yeah. So I was a little surprised to see O'Hara and Pugh in there, but the way they were playing in the semifinal, I think it warranted their inclusion. O'Hara's runs, she was playing as an inverted wingback, so she was getting inside of Tobin and making those dangerous runs into the box. I thought that those were really dangerous and would be a threat for the U.S. Against Canada. And Pugh was just her athleticism is just incredible. She's able to beat players 1v1 and get around and play those crosses in. So I think that played out pretty well.
Yep. And Danielle, what were your expectations going into this one?
Kind of to reiterate what they're both saying. I expected it to be chippy. I expected it to be heated. I mean, it always is. It, as people know, it kind of just blew up after 2012, and it's just been a lot of every game since.
Right,
so I expected exactly what we got. Tough, physical. I mean, I expected us to win. I mean, you look at our record, I definitely expected the U.S. win, so got pretty much what I was expected. I didn't expect the starting lineup. I didn't think that it would be the same one as 2 days ago. With that said, it makes a lot of sense. I could see what Jill was doing, especially with having Pugh in there, get them game experience, see how they recover, because the Olympics are, it's game after game. Got to make sure that their bodies are ready. So didn't expect the starting lineup, but it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm with you and Jake on that. I thought they were going to go back to what they did in the very first game, and then to see what the lineup was, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, you aren't really playing, you don't have anything you're playing for, I guess, so to speak, at this moment, unless you want that medal. But we'll talk about a medal that got thrown into the stands later. But you're not really playing for much as is, so it's like I guess she can really fiddle a bit with the lineup for the most part. So let's talk about the game now, shall we? I will start with you first, Jake. What did you see in the first half that you liked, didn't like, or just what did you see?
Well, the opening 15, 20 minutes were pretty nervy from the U.S., to be honest. I don't think Johnston and Sauerbrunn were prepared to be high pressed like they were by Prince and Tancredi.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn and Scott had pinched up high on Morgan Bryan and Lindsey Horan, taking away those easy options. So that kind of left JJ with either playing it long or holding the ball, waiting for something to open up. I know there were a couple times when it looked like Solo was yelling at her to play it quicker. But I could, as a center back, I know JJ, she probably wants to hold the ball, wait for the right opening to play out of pressure.
Right.
Versus Solo's just afraid that we're going to turn the ball over in a bad situation and be in trouble. Once the first 15, 20 minutes went by, Brian was better at splitting the center defenders and finding space and combining more. I think it slowed down the tempo a bit, and they were able to connect more passes. And they were able to find our wingbacks a lot more. I think our most dangerous moments came when we found Klingenberg or O'Hare on the wing. O'Hare hit a cross that almost caught the keeper off. And Klingenberg hit a nice ball to the back post. I think Carly Lloyd was the one who headed it wide. So those were our best chances. And the first half it was a very stout performance by the Canadian defenders. They were there to break up the play, keep the U.S. from getting a tempo, and I think they were doing a really good job the first half. So.
Danielle, what did you see in the first half?
Well, now I'm gonna not sound very smart because everything you said was accurate. So my notes, well, I was going to say my notes that I wrote, nerve-wracking, pressure, physical. So, cool, thanks. No, the first 15, 20 minutes were stressful for me. I always get overly stressed during U.S.-Canada games, though. I thought that Canada had a lot of good chances. My biggest note was physical, and Tancredi was rough as usual. So that was what stuck out to me, was that JJ push in the box, which was great. But yeah, the first half made me a bit nervous. I guess that's my...
See, Jake, look what you're doing to my panelists. You're ruining everything. And I guess we go to you, Jen, on Tancredi stuff. What did you think about the push on JJ?
Oh, that was way over the line. It wasn't like a super strong push, but it was strong enough to knock her back, and the way she banged her head, I was surprised that they didn't stop and do the concussion protocol that they're supposed to do, because she hit her head hard. And I think it affected her for pretty much the entire first half, because she was looking really out of it, not passing well, and then she played better in the second half, I thought. That wasn't the big talking point, though. The one big talking point was that Scissors takedown of Carly Lloyd in the box that somehow is a foul called on Carly. I watched that, I don't know, half a dozen times. I'm like, where on earth did Carly do something that would cause the ref to call a foul on her? It should have been a penalty, possibly even go to the red card, So the fact that it went the other way was really baffling. I mean, the officiating the whole game was horrible. I think the ref should have gone to the pocket much sooner than she did, reel it in, and maybe it wouldn't have gotten as out of hand as it did for the first 50 or so minutes. So, yeah, I think Tancredi was extremely fortunate she was still on the field by halftime. So, but again, that's nothing normal. That's nothing abnormal. That's what we're used to seeing from Tancredi.
It's funny that we're already talking about reffing and the NWSL season hasn't started, so that's not a good sign, I guess.
It was terrible all all tournament. The refereeing was awful.
That's CONCACAF.
Yep.
Got copycat. All right, Danielle, I'll go to you first, so Jake doesn't steal your thunder. What did you think of the segment?
The second half, obviously, we scored both goals. We were a little more dominant. I thought both goals were pretty. I loved, what was it, the 53rd minute, that her angle was great.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a stan, I thought Becky's service and that assist was great. I think it was only her third career assist, so
Really?
she doesn't have the stats. Yeah, 0 goals, 3 assists, and 100 caps. So she doesn't get them often, but when she does, they're beautiful. So I thought that was a great goal. I will be honest, and maybe it's safer to say this with today's panel, I'm not a Tobin Heath fan. Nah,
Okay.
I'm not. Never have been. But man, her goal was beautiful, and that's the Tobin Heath I want. I loved it, which is a lot coming from me. So I thought both of our goals were good. I think we calmed down for part of the half, and then the last like 10, 15 minutes, I was done. So it was stressful.
Well,
Not quite as eloquent as some people might say on this panel, but that was my second half opinion.
You know what? See, Jan Carl's gonna hate you. You know that.
I know. I felt safer because she's not on the show to yell at me.
Smart move. That's what I do. I talk about players I really don't like when people are on the show. So you got it. You got it. Well done. Jake, what were your thoughts of the second half?
Yeah, I think Danielle covered it pretty well. It was good that we scored within the first 10 minutes of the half because I know John Herdman in his press conference was saying, he was trying to wait to the 60th minute to get some of his quote-unquote flair players on the field with Sinclair, Matheson, and Sophie Schmidt. So it sounded like, their game plan was to frustrate for 60 minutes and then throw on some fresh legs and try to catch us out. But we scored before that could happen, so that kind of changes all the game plan right there. We had a good opening part to the half and got the second goal. But when Canada started pushing, they changed the system up to a 4-3-3 with a front three of Prince, Sinclair, and Tancredi out wide.
I don't get that.
I thought it was really smart because that was the same side that Klingenberg was on, and she's got a good foot on her probably. So they were really trying to funnel that ball out to Alicia Chapman on the left, and she was banging in those crosses, time and time again. And at least one time, Tancredi was wide open at the back post, and she that would have changed the complexion of the last 15 minutes or so. So it's good that Solo was on her toes and ready for action. But the U.S. just kind of held on for the last 15 minutes or so. They threw in some fresh legs to put pressure up top, but aside from that Tancredi chance, there wasn't too many clear-cut opportunities for the Canadians to score. So it was a good professional performance.
I guess that when I said with the Tancredi out wide is just my view of how I would build a team or whatever. And it's just like like I said, I've always talked about I don't see what her, other than when people toughness and stuff. And I'm like, all right, that's great. But isn't she a striker? I don't really care for that in my striker. And I guess like some people would always, no one's like, I'm waiting for someone to tell me, maybe I'm still waiting for a striker, I guess, where that toughness really matters. And I guess that's great to have it in the team, that spirit and stuff. But I guess out wide, I always want, maybe I look at these from like basic United teams and stuff, that pace on the wing type of third, with my 3 up front and something. But I guess it's just like if you don't have it, then you can't play it like that. Someone that's pacey it's got a little trickery, can send some nice cross in. But I don't know. That's just my perfect team. You're not going to get that ever. So.
The way I was thinking about it, it's a knockout game. You're down a goal. You want as much attacking prowess as you can on the field, and when you can get a mismatch like that in height, that's the opportunity for them to play in crosses and find her at the back post. So
that's true. But the thing is, what about her though? I'll tell you is, I still don't see her as a good finisher and stuff. Anyway, like she's tall, but it's almost like, I don't know if you all are. Like they always talk about Josie Altidore this sometimes, the men's team, where it's just like they say sometimes when he's on, and sometimes when he's not, he's not. So it's like, if you're one of those type of strikers, like they put the cross on her head and she, like I said, that was their best chance, and it was just like, well, take what you can get, really. You're not going to finish everything, but shoot, that's all they really had. And I guess so. I don't know. It's weird with her. I guess I'm just confused on her really. I've never had rated her highly. That's why.
I think one last thing on her. I think the only reason that she was starting the game was because Christy Sinclair, she was struggling with an injury, and she could only go for about 30 minutes. I think Herdman said in his press conference after the game. So when you're down your best striker from the tournament, you kind of have to look at what you've got and try to play to their strengths as well. So.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's like it's weird though with them though. They still like even back in the day they used to start her, and I was like, is that just an example of their talent pool or what? I'm sorry, I can go on about this Tancredi thing for days because I've never had anyone just like flat out say, well, this is why. Like, is this just like a kind of shows like how bad their talent pool is that they've never found anyone to like usurp her, so to speak, or something like? Do you think that, Jake, or is it just like I said, they just she's talented, so she kind of is one of their best strikers type thing?
I mean, I'm not too overly familiar with the Canadian setup. It seems like they've got some newer strikers in the mix with Prince, and I think that the world of soccer's kind of evolved out of that 4-4-2, where you're playing with that classic number 9 striker who's there to head in crosses. I think that she's kind of a product of a bygone era.
Yeah.
And that it's there. I mean, you can see that Canada's transitioning with their young players, but with Tancredi, she's still the veteran in the locker room, and it's good to have those characters around so that the new ones can get the culture that the locker room has built over the years, and they can lean on them for some leadership. And she's not going to be in NWSL, but I mean, she found a club in Sweden, so it's not like she's lacking for interest. I think it's just that some teams struggle to accommodate that playing style.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I can go on about this for all days. I don't know. Tancredi, I don't know. Like, is one of those players about me where I've always had questions, and I still leave with many more questions. So, but let's get your second half, Jin, and then I'll probably rant about that in the OP or something. We could do an OP about it, about Jake or something. We can research it. All right, Jim, what is your thoughts on the second half and the substitutions?
Second half was better than the first. I thought a lot of our players, they used halftime to calm down, get their heads about them, figure out Canada. And once we scored, Canada really cut back on a lot of the physicality. Because I think they were trying to frustrate us for so long, and when we finally broke through, it's like, yeah, this isn't working anymore, so we might as well, cut back on it before somebody gets sent off. As far as the substitutions, I'm still curious why Jill Ellis waited so long to put in a substitute in a game that doesn't really matter. Case in point, Mallory Pugh, I thought she stayed on for about 10 minutes too long, maybe 15. She's got a lot of talent, but I don't think she has the physical stature yet to play that position for that long. I think at this point she's more of a 60, 65-minute player because she was spent by the time she came out. I thought, like I said, I thought she should have come out sooner. That's really the only one. And I got to question John Herdman risking Christine Sinclair in a game that is essentially meaningless. I mean, I know he said he had planned to put her in, but when she went in, they were down. There wasn't really much looking forward to them possibly getting a goal back at that point. And she's been dealing with an injury. Why risk having her get hurt even worse and having her miss more time for what is essentially a meaningless game that's for little more than pride and a different colored medal? So that I thought was a little irresponsible of him. Yeah, and there were some players out there, Alex Morgan, Carly Lloyd, who were just taking up space. Carly missed 3 or 4 brilliant opportunities. Alex really didn't do much the entire game. So, yeah, once we had the 2 goals, it kind of settled into just kind of petered out a little bit. So. So it was better. I mean, we still controlled it pretty well, but yeah, those 2 I mentioned really disappointed from them both. Tough tough games. Hopefully they get some rest and look much better for the Four Nations tournament.
Right, right. The tournament that we will call the Four Nations tournament, definitely. Yeah, it was. Yeah, some of those Carly misses, I was disappointed in that, but yeah, it was kind of like that, I guess, with some players. But maybe I guess you see Pugh as what is it, super sub? That's what I'm thinking. Cause you keep saying. I remember you said last episode. Do you think she's would be fit for that role?
Either a super sub or someone where you plan on it being the first player you sub out because, like I said, she's not a 90-minute player at this point. She just doesn't have the stamina, especially in a role like that that requires a lot of stamina.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she has the stamina to go 90 at this point.
Okay, all right, good. All right, guys, so let's dive into our overall, I guess, review of the game. Just talk about, I guess, what we saw from it or what we thought of it. We've heard a little bit of it, but I guess we can wrap that up with a bow. And then we can talk about how the team performed throughout the tournament. So I will start with, let's start with Jake first this time. Overall view of the game, and then just our view of the tournament, of how we performed.
I mean, just to kind of wrap things up, I'll try to be short. I thought the U.S., was good to stick to their game plan of keeping possession and moving the ball and finding ways to break down the defense without having to go long necessarily. I think that was kind of the main theme of the tournament was that they want to be able to break teams down on the floor, and they don't want to have to rely on their athleticism and long balls over the top to Alex Morgan to break down teams. So all in all, I think this was a good experience for some of the younger players like Morgan Bryan and they really took some leadership roles in the midfield and keeping that tempo going and yeah.
Name a player that stood out to you. I'm not letting you off the hook yet. I want you to talk. There you go. Yeah. It's
right,
a finale show, man. You can talk over it.
I mean, it's a bit of a homer pick, but I actually did think Morgan Bryan was probably our best player throughout the tournament. I mean, the way that she controlled the tempo for the midfield, it was a very veteran performance. She was the youngest player at the World Cup for our team, and now she's kind of evolved into the key cog as our tempo setting number 6 holding mid. So, I think that she really excelled. I think Haran did really well for never playing a box-to-box role midfielder.
Yeah, that's true.
She was forward in Europe with PSG, and now she's, arguably, the second midfielder in that lineup. And her partnership with Morgan Bryan really complement each other. Morgan Bryan stays at home and plays safe passes around the midfield, and Haran is a little bit more attacking, a little more technical ability, can work her way around a 1v1. She had a nice little back heel nutmeg against Trinidad and Tobago that I really liked. So, yeah, that was those two were probably the best in my opinion.
It's weird though, because I never thought I would see her on the team as like you said, a little box-to-box mid. I thought she'd be fighting for a striker role, but it looks like she found a nice little home on the team, and that's probably where she'll be sitting for the next couple of years. So that's good that actually she performed well in that position. Danielle, overall view of the game, overall view of the tournament, who stood out?
Well, my overall view of the game, I mean, we kind of talked about it. It was chippy, it was heated, it was physical, but U.S. won as expected. I think the whole tournament as a whole, it was kind of just business trip, if you will. Got the job done, qualified. We all knew it was going to happen. So it was kind of business as usual, I guess. Players that stood out, not necessarily always the best, but who kind of caught my eye, is I jumped on the Pugh train, the Pugh bandwagon. I mean, she definitely struggled near the end of the game a couple times, but I was really impressed with her. She seemed very soccer smart. She seemed very composed, especially going against veterans. People, I think Canada was probably the best experience for her. So I was impressed by her. I mean, obviously, we all heard all the hype about her. I think she's going to be pretty good, and I was really excited to see her. Kind of going the opposite way. The underwhelming one to me was probably Carly.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I guess this is the Carly we know and love, or know and tolerate. And that's fine. Carly likes to show up when it matters. She wins gold medals. She does her job. But yeah, I think she was so overwhelming. We kind of were joking during one of the games down in Frisco that it's either Carly or Alex at this point. One's on. So Alex had a good tournament, so Carly was quiet. So
No,
I don't think that's true, but you know, we were having fun during the game and saying that.
All right, and Jen, same question.
Yeah, I don't think we can say much more about the game that hasn't already been said. You know, I think those two summed it up pretty well. As far as the tournament, yeah, I think Morgan Bryan was one that stood out. You know, obviously by her winning the golden ball. You know, I kind of would have liked to see it go to Rocky, but I can't say anything against Morgan Bryan that would say she doesn't deserve it. So no complaints from that one. Yeah, and echo the little pew hype.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that. Even though I don't think she's actually the best player at that age level the U.S. has, I can point to one or two that I think are better. She's shown living up to the hype so far. You know, I think I would like to see her at the Four Nations tournament to see if she can do it against the top teams, since CONCACAF really isn't much of a competition. Let's be honest, it's really not. So yeah, if she does well at the Four Nations tournament, I'm gonna jump on the Pew hype train full time. So that one's good. And as far as underwhelming, it hurts me so bad to agree with Danielle that Carly was awful. She was awful. She was so bad. You know, you looked at her after the game. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. You know, I think she's tired. I think she needs a break. You know, a few days off. Tell Jimmy Boy up in New Jersey, sorry, I need some time off to rest, and then and then recover for Four Nations. And there's another one, not U.S., but I thought Desiree Scott had a rough tournament. You know, it's definitely not the player we all remember from the Olympics, from kicking ass in 2013 for Kansas City. You know, she had a number of really bad giveaways. She had that penalty call against her in Costa Rica that was just completely asinine. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You know, and she didn't have a good game either. So kind of really disappointed because I was hoping she would show better for them. You know, having been away from NWSL, looking forward to see what she was doing, and I wasn't impressed. So yeah, hope she shapes up for the NWSL season, because Kansas City is definitely going to need her at her best.
I hope she shapes up for the NWSL season too.
Yeah, I kind of figured you'd agree with that.
All right, well, I guess it's the Red Caps' turn to tell you what he thought. Yeah, for me, the tournament was what I thought it was going to be. We were going to go in, we were going to win, and then we were going to go away smiling. So it went the way I planned. Players that stood out to me. You stole Morgan Bryan for me, so I can't say that name. All of you. How dare you? So I will go with a Sky Blue player, just to be a homer, and say Kelly O'Hara. Maybe she put little seeds in Jill Ellis's head to say, hey, maybe I should find a way to play this girl more. Or maybe that's just not the Ellis way. But I really liked what Kelly O'Hara did this whole tournament when she did get her opportunity. It shows she's not just sitting on the bench shining her boots from time to time. She's actually, you know, still trying to go out there and put in an effort and play hard anytime she gets a chance. So Kelly O'Hara, I guess, would be one of my players for the tournament. Underperformed. I mean, I would go with Carly, I guess, for the most part, but I don't want to. I don't know. Who else underperformed, really? Hope Solo for not having to do many saves. How about that? You know, let's just be mean and throw a random person out there.
That's such a cop-out. It's not funny. Come on.
But I kind of felt the same way about the whole Carly thing. It was kind of like a tournament where it looked like she just didn't have it as much. But I don't know.
I just want to say something. You know, I did mark down that I thought Carly Lloyd was having a difficult last game, and that she probably was, you know, the one that kind of stood out as having a bit of a stinker. But, you know, on the whole, it's like she's the best player in the world, she's being marked very specifically, and I think that gravitational pull opens up space for Alex Morgan to operate, for Pugh, for Tobin Heath. I think it's not that she was playing badly per se. It was that she was being given special attention to by opposing defense. And there were some times where she did find space and she tried to do too much. And if she kept it a little bit more simple, she would have looked better, I think. So I mean, it's hard to say any one player was didn't really take their chance because it was such a professional performance. It's hard to really give anyone necessarily like a bad grade.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's always hard for me, even with these games. It was hard to just pick out little bad points because it's just like overall the team looked good and did what they had to do. So I mean, you're picking like from something that just looked pretty good and did what it had to. It was not a well-oiled machine, but it was a good enough machine to get the job done. That's what we'll call it. That car that you have in your garage, it can get you from point A to point B, but don't try to drive it to point C. I guess that's everything else. You guys have any news highlights or special things you need to say to the fans, viewers?
Well, I want to ask one thing.
Okay.
Does anybody think Ali Krieger might be starting to get phased out based on her lack of playing time over the past few months?
I do, and I'm very conflicted with how I feel because if I 1 year ago complained that a 35-year-old Abby should be on the bench, how can I complain that a 31-year-old, should perform, oh, she should start no matter what? With that said, I haven't seen anything in Allie's performance that I would bench her, but I'm also not the coach. But yeah, I've kind of started accepting that. It's kind of like the Heyo thing where you just notice it's going.
And she did it real slick with Heyo too, like, float, push, and she's gone. So yeah.
Jill is not a fan of right side, strong side. I mean, she hated that term, so she took care of business, I guess.
It's not the Ellis way. Hashtag the Ellis way. We're trying to push it. You see, I keep using it. Jake, do you have anything on that? Do you think Ali Krieger's getting phased out?
I'm not sure necessarily she's being phased out, but she might just be kind of relegated to a bench role. Kelly O'Hara really took her chance in that semifinal and really made it difficult for Ellis to drop her for the final.
Yeah.
So I think that Krieger is a very versatile asset to the team, especially for the Olympics. She showed she could play center back. For the Spirit, she plays as a holding mid, as well as a right back. So, that type of versatility is really necessary when you can only take 18 to the Olympics, and it's a short tournament in a small amount of days. So, I think she's really necessary to keep for now. But when you have Kelly O'Hara performing so well, it's hard to justify keeping her out of the lineup.
I know a good way to keep both in, but it would not be popular, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Oh, no. Spill the beans, madam.
I'm not a Kling fan at all. I am not. I don't see her as a starter, and I know people disagree. I'm trying, but I don't understand the Kling hype. I don't even think she had a good World Cup. I'm just not a fan. She has good stuff. I think she's a good player. I've never been impressed. I watched her give away a lot of balls when I was down in Frisco. I saw a couple crosses yesterday that I think she could have done better. So I think Kelly could be a left back. Allie's right back. There you go. You got both. I'm happy. We're all happy.
We actually had a left back on the roster. Another one.
Who's that? Yeah, I'm not going to say her name.
I'm trying because I'm sorry. I know you guys are sick of the Hinkle hate. I'm not a Hinkle fan, and it's not necessarily what she said. But yeah, she should get performance. I agree. Get her time. I'm not a fan of her as a person. I'll say it. But yeah, you're right. Put Hinkle in. See how she performs, I guess.
I like Danielle's honesty. That's what cracks me up. But it's like it's funny though, because me and her actually like and dislike a lot of the same players. So I never get mad at when she said. I mean, it's weird. We just have that same view because it's like this player. I'm like, I agree with Danielle. I just never say it. She will say it though on air sometimes. But it's like I shouldn't. But That's hilarious. It's all you always do that. Like I said, be the mouthpiece for me, I guess. Other than that, is there anything else you guys want to say?
Oh, yes, I do have one announcement. This Saturday night, what time is it?
The discussion will be, I guess we'll start at 7, probably.
Yes, this Saturday at 7 p.m. we will Eastern time, because I can speak. We will be hosting an hour-long Twitter Q&A. So make sure to tune into that.
Yeah, I'll be involved with it. I mean, if you guys care. I mean, I see that we're actually getting good viewership today, so I guess some of you care about something. So yeah, I'll be involved with it. Some of you other guys, I'm guessing, will try to throw in something if you get a chance. So just join us because it's good. We're trying to do this every month so we can get more interaction with you guys because I see you guys are leaving more comments and subscribing to the channel. Wink, wink. So it's we want to do that a little bit more so we can interact with you guys. A lot of you guys had a great feedback on those OPs lately and the other stuff that we're doing. So it's amazing to watch this little thing grow. I think that's everything. Danielle had a rant. Oh, yep, Jay got something.
I got one more shout out. I did, this kind of went under the radar, but U.S. under-23 team is going to be playing in, it's called the Istria Cup, and it's kind of a secondary cup to like the Algarve or the She Believes tournament that we're hosting.
Or Cyprus. Don't forget the Cyprus Cup.
She believes.
I think
she believes.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the under-23 squad is essentially a bunch of first-year NWSL players, a bunch of new NWSL players, and also a couple college seniors, I think. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of what we've got talent-wise underneath the senior national team.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they're playing a France's B team, Poland's under-20s, and I'm blanking on the other one, but they got some good opponents on European soil. They actually played Ireland right after the senior national team did, and they beat them 3-0. So there's obviously some talent there. Be good to see some more NWSL talent get some looks with the national team. So.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely try to check that out then if I have time.
Yeah, their first game is March 2nd, which I think is the date of our night of our next show.
Yeah, you're right about that. I was just about to say that too. Good call on that. Our next show will be March 2nd, but we'll try to get OPs in between then so you guys have some stuff to watch. Other than that, I think that's everything. March 2nd show, Danielle will be on that show, and Jake will be on that show. So that's cool. This is another episode of Off the Post. I'm your host, DJ Redcap, and we're going to wave, and then we're going to say goodbye. And please, Tobin fans, don't get mad at Danielle. She was only, being nice to you.
I complimented her. I did.
All lies. So Danielle will get hate. So you see a Twitter tag, and you can go there. Bye-bye, everyone.